Hey guys, and welcome to an Aspie's Point of View, where I give you my opinion on stuff. So, I just finished watching the latest episode of The Good Doctor, and I'd like to start out this video by saying I love the show. I think that what The Good Doctor has done for the autistic community is an amazing thing. The Good Doctor has put autism into the spotlight in television in a way that it has not previously been portrayed. What I mean by that is it's showing an autistic person being successful while simultaneously showing the difficulties of the life of someone on the spectrum. And that's something that you really don't see a whole lot of in mainstream media. One of the things that I admired most about the show was that at the very beginning of the show, almost all of the neurotypical characters on the show had severe doubts that Sean could do his job, and he was able to prove them wrong. Even through the difficult times, even when he would zone out or have some sort of an issue with communication or catching cues, even when he had a meltdown or two, he was always able to do his job, and he earned the respect of his colleagues because of that. And that's why this most recent episode absolutely infuriated me, because a new chief of surgery came in to the hospital who had known Sean for all of maybe 5 minutes and immediately took a disliking to him. Now, I can understand when he came into the show, the very first thing that he was told was that Sean told a mother that she was responsible for her child being born with a severe birth defect. I will say that Sean was wrong in the way that he answered the question. However, Dr. Han, the new chief, did not have or did not want to listen to all of the facts of what had occurred. As we saw in the scene, Sean was asked if her doctor was protecting her or if her doctor was telling the truth in saying that antidepressants could not have caused this birth defect. And Sean thought back the same way a lot of autistic people do to everything that he had ever read and everything that he had ever seen, and he said, it's possible. There was a study, and he went on to explain that study. Would I tell that to a brand new parent who is already feeling extremely anxious over the fact that my child has a very, very, very bad birth defect and may not live? No, I wouldn't say that. However, in that moment, with the particular question that was asked, I'm also the type of person, I don't like being lied to be protected. And for a very long time, a lot of people in my life would do that. They would say that things were better than they were, or simply hide things from me until they were taken care of, and then say, you know, it wasn't really a big deal, so-and-so was in the hospital for a couple of days, but they're home now. And my response was, how come you didn't tell me when they were actually in the hospital? So I can see it from Sean's point of view that he doesn't want people lying to him to protect him. Why should he lie to his patient? I can also see why Dr. Han was upset. That being said, by the end of the episode, one episode which took place, I believe, over 2 days, Dr. Han unilaterally decided to change Sean's entire career path, decided that Sean could not be a surgeon, made the decision for him. That is not okay. That is absolutely 100% not okay. That happened to me. I moved all the way to Texas to do a job that I truly wanted to do and I felt like I was good at, and a lot of my coworkers told me I was good at. And I was sat down by HR and told, don't worry, I know it's difficult when HR sits with you. We're just going to have a talk. They had already decided they were firing me. They had already decided they didn't want me there. But they proceeded to list off everything that they wanted me to improve on. And every single point related back to my Asperger's. And they knew that I had autism. Just like with Sean, they knew. And in the end, they told me that I had to leave. And I never went back to that career again. Even though it's what I studied in college, even though it's my passion, I never went back because someone else made the decision that I couldn't do it. And that is what infuriated me about this episode, is that I was watching as someone did the same thing to Sean. And yes, Sean is a character on a TV show, but what it represents is the larger picture that people, neurotypical people, think that they can make decisions for autistic people, think that they have to make decisions for autistic people because we're not capable of making the proper decisions for ourselves. And that is wrong. And that is something that cannot be allowed to be shown and portrayed as the right thing to do. And so my greatest hope is that in next week's episode, Dr. Han is severely put in check and Sean has a say in his future and is able to stand up for himself and does not end up losing his spot as a surgeon because he's damn good at it. But what I'm afraid is going to happen is that people are going to see this episode and think that it's okay to make decisions for people with autism because we can't make them for ourselves. And that is simply not true. It's not true. Yes, autism is a spectrum disorder. There are people on one end of the spectrum who cannot care for themselves, who cannot make decisions for themselves, who cannot communicate for themselves. And then there are people on the other end of the spectrum, people like me. I choose to have this YouTube channel to give people with autism a voice. And the voice right now is that people can't make decisions for us because they think that we are not capable of making decisions for ourselves. And my greatest hope is that in next week's episode, Dr. Han learns that valuable lesson and that Sean is able to proceed on his chosen career path. And if Sean chooses to take a different path, that is his prerogative and that is his choice. But what I don't want to see happen is for this character to be forced onto a different career path because one neurotypical person thinks he can't do his job. There are numerous surgeons who have a crap bedside manner. I've met them, and they are perfect in surgery, but they do not know how to talk to a patient to save their lives. It is not just an autism thing. It is a life thing. And so to look at a person who you barely know and say, he can't do this job. He doesn't have the skills to do this job. He's not, good enough at communicating. He doesn't have the ability. No, just no. And furthermore, Sean specifies how hard he's working, and the response he gets is that working on it isn't enough. I want to say that 5-6 years ago, I was a completely different person than I am today. When I started working for the company that I worked for previous to where I am now, they sent us on a 4-day training. And the first day of that training, they sat us down and taught us step by step how to have a conversation. And that was something no one had ever done for me because I wasn't diagnosed as a child. I didn't receive early intervention. And I called my mom that night and I said, Mom, life is never going to be the same. And I watched myself grow over 4 years over 5 years, over 6 years. I watched myself learn how to joke with my coworkers, learn about sarcasm, learn how to modulate my voice and put passion into my voice and read passion in other people's voices and see the emotions on their faces. And I learned and I grew and I developed. And for someone who is neurotypical to say, it's not enough, you can't do that, you can't. I hate when people say you can't. They don't have the right to tell us we can't. We can fight and we can. Until next time, this has been an Aspie's point of view. Good night, guys.